Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we are talking about how you can get started researching African American genealogy. I'm going to share 5 tips with you to make getting started a little bit easier. If you've been researching African American genealogy for a while or you're just starting to research, then you already know how difficult it is to even get started with African American genealogy. So if you're stuck trying to trace your ancestors or you're just getting started, don't panic. This is the video for you. Many people commonly hit a brick wall before they even begin researching. So in this video, I'm going to share those tips to help you get started. But before I list the tips, there's one thing I want to say to you that's really important regardless of who you are, how often you've researched, how frequently you research, and that is write down what you know. Guys, I cannot tell you enough how important that is. Even if you don't think you know anything, just take 10 minutes, a blank piece of paper, and write down everything that you know. Think back of stories, memories, anything you may have that may help you as you're doing your research. So let's get into those tips. The first tip I have is, where do you get started? So, if you're researching African American genealogy, you're going to want to start with census records after 1870. That is the critical period for African American families because it is the first full census, or I should say, full national census that was taken after the end of slavery. So, if you had any ancestors who were slaves, or even if they weren't, it's a good chance they may not have been on a census prior to 1870. So, in the African American genealogy research world, 1870 is pretty much that key census year. So, start with records after 1870. That's the first tip. The second tip is to start with the most recent census records. So guys, don't think you're just going to jump back to 1870 and you haven't looked at any later census records. It doesn't happen that way typically. I would say to you, start with the most recent census record right now. That is 1950. That's the most recent year that is available. And that kind of brings your ancestors closer to you, like where you are now. Depending on your age, a lot of us may have parents who were born before 1950. So they will show up on that 1950 census. Or grandparents may show up on that 1950 census. And that's going to be really critical for you to get started. You want to find your first ancestor, and it's just a little bit easier to do in a later census, right? So think of it like this: it's easier to find your grandmother than it is your 4 times great grandmother. So start with a later census. Point 3 is to start with a census year closest to your ancestor. And this is important, and this kind of relates to writing down the information that you know. So I'll give you an example of what I mean. I know that my grandmother was born in 1916. That's the year my grandmother was born. So if I want to kind of find her on an earlier census, I would probably look in the 1920 census first, because I know who her parents were. If I didn't know who her parents were, I would definitely start with 1950. But if I've done a little research and I already know who her parents are and I'm just trying to find them in the census for a certain year, you want to start with the census that's closest to your ancestor. Given a specific date that you may know. I would be aware of birth dates though, only because let's say you have an ancestor and you believe they were born in 1920, and they may have been, but they may have been born after the census was taken in 1920. So they're not going to show up in the 1920 census because they were not here yet, right? So just be careful of that a little bit. But definitely choose a census year that is close to an important date for your ancestor that you may know. Consider marriage dates or even death dates. Obviously, you would want to look at the census before, but so think about that. The next tip I want to share with you, this is tip number 4, is location, location, location. Guys, we know location is really important in real estate, but guess what? It's just as important with genealogy because census records are actually based on location, not name or family, right? It's location first. So here's an example of that. Let's say you're looking for an ancestor in the 1920 census and their name is Nathan Jones, and you have no idea where they lived. And you just typed in, let's say you know they lived in the US. And so you just typed in Nathan Jones in the US Census and you don't know any other information. Can you imagine how many Nathan Jones is going to pull up? A ton, right? So, yeah, you need to know or at least have some type of idea of location, right? And you can, again, start with what you know. Where do you currently live? Do you currently live in the same state where your ancestors lived? A lot of people do, a lot of people don't. Do you know where your grandparents lived? Do you know where they were born? Do you know where your family is quote unquote from? Right? A lot of people whose family migrated, especially in African American history, a lot of families migrated out of the South into other places. So maybe you were raised in California, but you know through family history or through oral history that your family is from Louisiana. So when you go back in your 1920 census records, you're probably going to look in Louisiana more so than California, depending on who you're looking for. So location is very important. And this is really where writing down what you know and your oral history can really help you with your research. The next tip to getting started is organization. Guys, organize your research. And when I know when you first get started, you are very excited and you're just kind of looking around and trying to find what you can find. But trust me, it's very important to take notes and organize what you find. That way you can avoid losing your progress because you're not, a lot of people don't research their family history every single day. You may only research your family history once a month or once every couple of months. So if you don't write down what you found in January and you come back in June to try to research family history, it's a really good chance that you will have forgotten what you found. And then you're going to repeat what you looked for in January, and it's just going to be like a never ending cycle. So organize your research. Just keep a basic notebook and write down the day you researched, and what you found. And keep that with you each time you research. It saves you time and it has less, it reduces duplication that you may encounter. So that's my tip. One more tip, a bonus tip I will give you is that if you go to our website, historyrooted.com, we have a lot of great tools to help you organize your research, a lot of free tools, and then also we have our genealogy research workbook. So you may be interested in doing that because it's a great way to help you organize your research. So I hope you enjoyed this video and you found something in these tips that would help you. As I said before, definitely visit our website, historyrooted.com. We have a lot of great resources on that site. We also offer a getting started checklist, which is completely free to you. The sign up link is down below if you're interested in more information. But yeah, it'll be in the description of this video. And don't forget to leave a comment, like this video, share this video if you found something useful in any of these tips. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope you stay tuned for the next video. Happy research.